Jimmy, man, you can't, there's not really anything you can really say to justify this, though, right?
I've been trying to, and I hate beating a dead horse here because, I have my issues when they're fighting on the outside too long. I have my issues when they make a tag and they're taking far too long to do their double team maneuvers. Instead of doing one double team maneuver, they have to triple down and do like a sequence of them. And again, while the referee's standing there with his thumb, guess where? Right up there. Anyway, so in this case, Will Ospreay versus Brian Cage didn't have a problem with the match. It was actually okay. The match was pretty good. They had a sequence, a spot there where Ospreay covered Brian Cage near the ropes, and Lance Archer, who was seconding Brian Cage in this situation, reached in, placed Brian Cage's foot, and put it on the bottom rope. It's different if Rick Knox doesn't see it, positions himself where he can't see it, and even counts a three, but then looks up and sees the foot on the rope, he can wave it off. To me, that makes more sense. To me, that looks more realistic. Look, I didn't see it, and I'm waving off the three count because now I see a foot on the rope. But he looked right at it, and then he stopped his count. He stood up, and he stood watching and staring at Lance Archer, not saying anything, just looked dumbfounded for a few seconds before walking over to the ropes and saying, "Hey, you know what? I saw you." He's telling him, "I saw you put his foot on the ropes." You know, worst case scenario, eject him from ringside. But at the same time, that's an automatic disqualification. I don't care. I mean, when you start letting stuff like that slide, but then they did something to afterwards, and then it was forgotten about. But that's not the point. The point is that was an automatic disqualification. Like I said, at worst, ejection from ringside, and then you can do whatever the hell you want after that. Because if you don't do that, again, you look like you're useless in the ring. What's the point in having a referee at all?
Jimmy, he didn't look dumbfounded. He is dumbfounded.
Oh, okay.
Okay. My problem is this. Do they not do walkthroughs? Do they not do walkthroughs to figure this stuff out? This is what drives me insane. We're at buildings for hours and hours and hours. To me, this is a case of I'm going to be in catering and hanging out and chilling, and we're just going to do whatever. We'll mention it to him. Hopefully he sees it. Hopefully he doesn't. You know what? That's not how you run a company. And I'm not saying that would happen. I'm not saying this would happen here, but how do you miss this? How does this not get done right? His foot should have been on the rope at one, and he continues and hits two, and then looks up. You can't go down and go 1, 2, and then the guy puts his foot on the rope, and then you're supposed to accidentally see it. It doesn't make sense. Where were your eyes at before? The reason why I'm getting loud is because of the fact of this. A, I've had a couple beers. 2, this is just unacceptable. You're at a building all day, work together. And what kills me the most, and it's probably not his fault, is Christian Cage is involved in this. Like,
Wrong
this
one.
is a seasoned veteran.
Brian Cage.
I'm sorry. Cage. Well, never mind. Take that back.
Well, there's 5 bronze. There's
100% take that back.
Anyways.
It's just, geez.
I know it gets you frustrated.
It does, because what are we doing all day?
You know what? You know what I found while I was cleaning out the bowels of Casa Corderas over here? Remember the old sheets, Brian?
What the did you just say?
The bowels of Casa Corderas.
Okay. Is that shit?
So I have to say it this way, Casa Corderos.
Okay.
Anyways, do you remember those old sheets that they used to have the producers fill out?
Mm-hmm.
Where it just listed everything.
Yes.
Who's the heel? Who's the baby face? What are they doing? What's the cutoff spot? What's the finish? Blah blah blah. It's an entire layout. Everybody handed in their sheet after.
And why were they done, Jimmy? Why were they done like that?
So there weren't any repeats.
Exactly.
So, and everybody was on the same page. And guess who got another copy? The truck.
Right.
So that the guy who's calling the camera cuts knows what's coming and knows what to look for. It's everybody has to be on the same page communicating. Bottom line.
And yes, as old school as that sounds, the shit worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is for Knox to see it and this downplay it like nothing happened is ridiculous. But anyway, I'm done.
Uh, I wanted to, end this Refin review on a good note. We want to
No,
give some.
God, let's not do that.
Oh, okay, well then I guess we'll see you next week then, guys. No, I'm joking. Want to give some props out to Ryan Tran for legitimately not seeing the tag in the Royal Rumble 2 out of 3 falls match between DIY and the Motor City Machine Guns. Jimmy Man, he did not see the Gargano not getting tagged into the match.
Well, what it was, it's kind of like trying to explain this correctly. I know Daniel can explain it as well because he's been involved in this kind of scenario before, where they acted like they were going to make a tag. The heels, DIY, looked like they were going to make a tag and didn't, but played it off like they did. And Ryan Tran correctly waved off the tag because they didn't tag. But the baby faces, the Motor City Machine Guns, thought they did tag. Therefore, when they made the tag and they switched partners, they did something to the guy they thought was legal because they thought he tagged in, but he didn't tag in. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm trying to say here?
And then what was great too is that Ryan was like, "You get out of the ring," and then by the time he can force him out of the ring, boom, Ciampa done had a spot roll up, caught Shelly off guard, and there you go, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
And they got a pinfall. So it was perfect that the way they timed it, the way they did everything, and yeah, it was done where the baby faces, the heels outsmarted the baby faces, but it didn't make Shelly and Sabin look like idiots because they were in a position where they couldn't see the tag. They just thought so because the way Gargano came running in so quickly that there was no way for them to respond other than do the move that they needed to do because he was the next person they thought the tag happened and it didn't. And brilliantly done. I have been in a match similar. It was on the Indies where the Motor City Machine Guns pulled this same thing or had the heels do it. So so I don't know if that's something they came up with or what in the past and they did it this time or what, but I just know it's when it's done right, it gets everybody, it bites and it brings up great heat for the heels, and they did for that. 70,000 people were pretty pissed off at that they got that pinfall right there. So,
which I have also done, which I believe, in my opinion, is the greatest 2 out of 3 falls tag team match with the Motor City Machine Guns and Beer Money.
Beer Money, yeah.
We also did the same spot. As Daniel said, if done correctly, brilliant. And props to Ryan. Good for you. You made positive reviews here on Refin Review, Ryan.
But here's the other thing too. We forgot to mention what he did. He was motioning. He was showing the crowd.
Yes.
Everything. So they understood what was going on. It wasn't one of those things where the crowd was going, "Wait, what? Wait a minute, what?"
Here's the key that I got taught from people like both of you guys, Brian and Jimmy and Earl and many others. As Kyoto has brought this to my attention, and I train and I teach others to do this when there's all about making motions and making the things. They were in a building. They were in Lucas Oil Stadium that had over 70,000 people. There were people at the very top of that stadium, very, very tippity top of that stadium. And he was making enough movements and hand suggestions and that the person that's sitting at the very, very top could watch and see and understand and know exactly what was going on without being close. And ladies and gentlemen, you do this if you're in a 200 person arena and you do it in a 70,000 person arena because you always want to be big on those moments to get the point across. So that's little Refin training for you guys on Refin Review.
There you go. There you go.
There you
That
go,
was
guys.
free. That was free. We didn't charge you.
Nah, not yet. It's not free.
The bill's not in the mail yet.